Hi everybody. So I'm in the middle of preparing orange rolls for my family, and I thought to myself, I really need to share these tips with people. So I got everything set up to show you right now. All right, making cinnamon rolls or orange rolls, you guys. I don't know if you're in the same boat as me, but nobody makes rolls as good as my mom. And I can't find them in the store that good. And as much as I love other people making them for me, they just aren't as good. So I'm going to give you a few tips as how you can make them amazing too. We're not talking taste. We're not talking ingredients. I'm telling you a few tips that will make whatever recipe you use be the most amazing recipe it can be, okay? So let's just at least go by that. All right, first things first. When you roll out your dough, you make sure that it is the width of your pan, but the length is quite a bit longer, okay? So the reason why we do this is because you're gonna get more rolls in each of your cinnamon rolls or your orange rolls. It's not just more spirals, right? It's not just gonna turn once or twice and then be done. You're gonna get lots of spirals in your cinnamon rolls. Why is that a good thing? Well, I'll help you figure that out as I tell you the next tip, which is to make sure you roll out your dough fairly thin. Don't leave it really thick, guys. Get it rolled out thin. And the reason for that, and the reason for rolling it out really long, this has been sitting here for a minute, so it's wrinkling, is so that you can get extra goop in your cinnamon rolls and in your orange rolls. The more goop, the better, right? The more gooey and moist they're gonna be, right? Okay, so we definitely want the dough rolled out thin and nice and long. And then I'm just gonna start slopping on my filling now. What I've done is I've made a buttercream frosting with my orange flavoring, okay? Usually you put in the orange zest, and I don't have any right now. So there's orange juice in here and there is orange flavoring, okay? And it tastes amazing and it's thick, okay? And I'm just gonna glop it on here. This is probably 1.5 pounds of dough, and this is 4 cups of my orange buttercream frosting, okay? So that kind of gives you a ratio to go by. And my particular dough is a roll dough recipe. It's not a bread recipe, okay? Most roll dough recipes have a higher content of sugar, they're more sticky, and a lot of times they have eggs in them and milk, okay? So they're more of a rich, fluffy, sweet dough, and they're gonna be more, I think I already said fluffy, but that's because you got the egg in it and everything like that. So when you're looking for your recipe for your dough, remember to try and find one that is like that. All right, so you can watch me roll these up, and I'll have you ask me some questions while I do that, and then I'll tell you the last tip once we get them in the pan, okay? How are you guys doing? Anybody totally sick of the quarantine? Who wants to talk about that? All right. I could very easily put more frosting, but I think this is gonna be okay. Wow, and look at this spreader. Talk about easy, right? That makes my life so much easier right now. Oh, I should tell you how I made the frosting. Oh, that's pretty important. Okay. You guys have got to remember this ratio for your buttercream frosting. For every 1 stick of butter, you do 1 cup of powdered sugar. It'll blow your mind. It is not overly sweet. That's right. Your buttercream frosting will not be overly sweet. It will taste like cream, and it's so creamy. I love that you can just keep eating it by the spoonfuls. Yes, I do that. Yes, I do that. And because it doesn't have so much sugar, it doesn't just, oh, you know, you can keep eating as much as you want. It's totally awesome. That's the way frosting should be, right? And then you just add your flavorings, a little bit of vanilla. In this case, I put the orange juice and the orange flavoring. So you do not need a lot of liquid. You really don't. And then that way you can make it as thick as you want. I'm trying to get it over here on this edge. I just got the wrong angle. There we go. All right, guys. This is definitely a lot of frosting. I'm totally satisfied with. This was 4 cups of powdered sugar and 4 sticks of butter. And then I might have put about 2 tablespoons of orange juice and a glug of vanilla, and then a couple glugs of orange flavoring. So yeah, this is really good. Okay, here we go. We're gonna get this in the pan. You guys don't have any questions? You don't have anything to say? All right, we're gonna roll this up pretty tight. We're gonna get this going. And we're gonna roll this tight because we want it to have as many spirals as possible. You might have to pull up a little and then go over the frosting, but be sure to pull it back a little tight, all right? Otherwise, what's gonna happen is you're just gonna push all the frosting out of the way. So you have to come up and over it, okay? I got a little bit of excess dough here I gotta get out of the way. This was a 2-pound recipe, and I'm not making 2 pounds tonight. That's too much. We're gonna save the extra dough for scones or donuts, whatever you wanna call them. All right, here we go. We got, was that 1 or 2 rolls? I think it was 2. Let's count how many we can get. 3. 4. Just take your time, make sure it's tight everywhere. Tuck it if you have to. 5. Oh yeah, these are gonna be big ones. 6. Oh my gosh, this is so beautiful. I'm so excited. 7. I honestly don't know if I ever make them this big, but I'm pretty excited right now. This is gonna be great. I don't know, we got at least 7 or 8 turns here. So that's gonna be really nice. Okay. They're gonna be goopy, they're gonna be messy, but that's all right. Here we go. You gotta have a knife to cut your dough. You don't have to cut off the ends unless you want to. Usually, this is the part that you get to taste. And yes, raw dough with all this frosting inside tastes amazing. I save that for my kids, not. And then you cut these, a good inch. And then I'm going to tell you the trick. I will remind you that I have already risen this dough once before I shaped it, okay? That looks small right now. I'm going to fit 3 across there, and then I'm going to let these rise until they're going to rise a second time then, right? They're going to rise until they come about up to the top of this pan. And they are not going to have any spaces in between each roll. They're going to completely fill out until there is absolutely no space in between the rolls anymore. And if your rolls have not risen that much, then don't bake them yet. They're not ready to bake yet, okay? That's the final tip that I wanted to give you guys, is you have to rise them really well before you bake them. You got to be patient, okay? Now, when it comes to baking your orange rolls or your cinnamon rolls, it is tricky because the center a lot of times of this pan will tend to be a little more raw. It's a little harder to get it cooked in the center. The edges are always a little more overdone than the center, but you could try making the ones in the center smaller, right? And then they'll cook more evenly, okay? So there's another tip for you. All right, guys. I'm just gonna keep filling these up, and I'm just carefully cutting and carefully picking them up. It doesn't matter if I mess them up a little, because once I get them put back in the pan and they start to rise, you're not gonna notice any misshapening. I'm gonna let you see what these look like right now. They're already close together, but they are not as big as they're gonna be, okay? So this is my tip for you to make really great orange rolls or cinnamon rolls. Get the right recipe. Roll it out the right length, and then make sure it's thin enough. Use plenty of yummy frosting so they're extra goopy and sweet, and rise them really well. Okay, guys? Hey, thanks for watching. You want to keep watching? I guess I don't have anything else to do yet, right? Anyone want to ask me any questions? I'm glad you guys are all hanging out with me. So let's see. I'll ask you guys a question. Do you have a favorite recipe or favorite tip you want to share? We've got Kristen, great video, Athena, they look delicious. Thank you. I'm excited. They're gonna be good, guys. I wish I could share them with all of you. Seriously, that'd be so fun right now. I could maybe sprinkle some orange zest on top, but I don't have any. Anybody got any fresh oranges they want to lend me? Quarantine problems. You know, I wonder if I should only put these 3 to 3. I think I will, because I'll show you. I really want these to have room to rise, so I'm going to leave a little bit of space in between them. And that way, it'll help me know that I've let them rise enough, right? So I'm going to have some extra here, and I'm going to have to bake those in a separate pan or something. Yes, I'm cutting right on my table, and I am not cutting my table. I'm being very careful. Yeah, right. You know, I don't know. Does anybody else ever do things like that? Maybe I'm just a horrible person because I'm cutting on my table. My mom would be screaming at me right now, but at least I'm making her recipe, okay? All right, well, we've got this all filled out. Now, because it's so late at night, I am going to cover these. I'm going to find as much frosting as I can here and put a little bit more on top of some of these. I'm going to cover these with saran wrap and put them in my fridge. And then in the morning, well, at about midnight, I'm going to wake up in the middle of the night and get these out of my fridge, because I need them to get to room temperature, and then from that point on, I'll start the time for them to begin their second bout of rising. So if I get them out of the fridge at 12 and they warm up to room temperature within an hour or two, then they'll be ready to eat or to be cooked at 6 o'clock in the morning, which is a little early. So, you know, that's tentative, but that way we can have them for breakfast and they'll be nice and fresh. Normally you don't have to rise your dough for so long, but I'm using a starter, and it usually takes a few extra hours to get really big. So that's that. And that's the stuff you do when you're a mom and you just really like to do nice things for your kids. Either that, or when you just really have sugar tooth, right? What is it called? Did I say that wrong? Sweet tooth. There we go. All right. Good night, everybody. Thanks for watching. Ah, where's the button? I don't even know. Oh, here we go. Good night, everybody.